depending on who you're listening to, Brent Venables is basically fighting for his future as Oklahoma's head football coach in 2025. What's the number it will take to keep Venables at the helm in Norman? We're going to talk about 5 big things that are going to decide whether or not the coach and this program stay together for the near future. It's Big Monday. Good morning. And welcome back to Big Monday, Hall of Fame college football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's my co-host, Jonathan Lewis. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Jonathan, welcome back, man. It's only been a few hours since I saw you last, I think. And actually a few minutes. You've been busy this morning. Yeah. Welcome to the show, sir.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the invite. Appreciate everybody getting here in the comments and all that good stuff. And as you can see, I'm in the thick of it, the woods.
In the woods, right? In the woods. I like it,
bro.
You've got some different backgrounds for sure, bro. I like it. I'm in the woodshed, so we're good there. So you know what I mean? In the woodshed.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty close. What's up there, Scott Walker, Bishop Frank, OU Revenge Tour, Julian. Let's see what else we got. Julian, and that's it right now. Scott Walker says, yes, he can save his job and will. 10-2, baby. Boomer. Hey, that will save his job. And we're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. First thing I want to do, though, is give proper respect and love to, I mean, we kind of did this on Saturday night, but, you know, this being Monday morning, probably going to have a few more people in here at some point as it is. Want to give proper respect to Patty Gasso and the Oklahoma Sooner softball team who just qualified for their 9th consecutive Women's College World Series. They'll be going for 5 national championships in a row when they travel that 26 miles up to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I'd say it really hard.
But you know, what a weekend. I mean, and I know it's kind of, I hated that I didn't intend to have you. I was going to have Big Cuz and Big Mike. They generally are here on Mondays. I'm going to give them, I mean, Big Cuz is sick and Big Mike's at the lake. Can't really get mad at him for being at the lake on Memorial Day.
It's true.
You know, it is what it is. But because it's, you know, they kind of beat up on Alabama, you know, and especially in that last game, to run rule them the way they did, and 4 home runs.
That was ridiculous.
It's tough weekend for your program. But I will say this, I've got to say, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the Alabama women's softball team, and you know, first of all, they've got a hell of a coach too. They've been in College World Series quite a bit. They've won a national championship in the last decade. You know, they are seriously one of the power programs in the SEC, and they had taken 2 of 3 from OU in the regular season as well there in Tuscaloosa. But I just wanted to say that their level of sportsmanship, a lot of people bitch and complain when they get beat by this women's team, man. And the Sooner women beat everybody. That's just what they do. But you see a lot of bitching and complaining, especially, you know, if you're ever on Twitter, you see a lot of shit like that. But I just got to say that the way that they handled even getting beat up like they did, I was pretty impressed. They still took care of they did their tradition, which is to leave their shoes for the seniors after their last game on the A. I thought that was pretty awesome, you know, and they praised Patty and the girls too from Oklahoma. So I just wanted to say that was I felt like that was a big deal on that side of it. But to the victor belong the spoils. And, what can you say about Patty Gasso? I mean,
5 in a row, possibly, like, dude, I don't know who's gonna I said it from the beginning, dude. I don't watch softball as much as a lot of people out there do, but
yeah,
if you know anything about softball, you knew that this team, like you said, they were young. If you're gonna get them, you gotta get them now, and yeah, I like watching softball, right? So it's most of the time in person, which I'll be able to do here in a couple of days, well, for the next upcoming season. But Alabama's done a great job as far as, like, golf, softball, and now bringing up their baseball, men's baseball. Like, we got one of the top recruits in the nation. We have actually one of the best, recruiting classes in the nation when it comes to baseball now. Um, yeah, so the program's on the up and up. It's just
sure.
it's hard to get some of these fans to pay attention to anything other than football in Tuscaloosa, so
That's the same way it is in to be fair, it's like that in Norman. And
yeah,
sometimes on this show, I don't give them enough credit, even though because this being an Oklahoma show, I don't really talk enough about them. You know, you've got a number of players that that felt like that there was some shenanigans with the freshman of the year voting. I mean, we've got a true freshman that just hit 20 home runs, and she wasn't even in the finalists.
that's crazy.
You know, um, it. She should have been the player of the year. I mean, she might even be good enough, but I mean, as far as like for the freshman player of the year, I'm not saying.
Yeah,
But you know, to me, I just want to say that what a team. I mean, and the problems I've seen that we've seen with Oklahoma, they probably lost a few more games than they normally did. But here's the thing: if you were going to get them, it should have been this year.
absolutely.
They're kind of light on pitching. They have a transfer who she's very good, but even she's had some moments. Sam has to where she hasn't been perfect. Now they've been great since the end of the regular season. They're undefeated 7-0. I think they've won 4 of those games by run rule. I mean, they're killing it. So they definitely hit another gear. But to expect, I don't think even Patty, she even said she didn't expect it. She didn't expect it. It wasn't something that, I mean, how do you graduate 4 seniors that were the greatest recruiting class in Oklahoma history and won 4 national championships,
Right.
and then come back next year with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores and roll right back through it? Not to mention being in a new conference in the SEC. It's pretty special. Shout out to Texas A&M who talked about being number 1 and then promptly gagged their asses right out of the freaking tournament.
Yep.
After they said that they would run rule OU. But there it is. I expect this to be a pretty good. I like the bracket. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, the bracket seeding is a little weird. Kind of seems like the college football playoff. But
Yeah.
Oklahoma's starting off with Tennessee, another team that beat them in a series. And they're one of the better teams in the country too. So again, SEC softball is not a joke, at all whatsoever. You got Texas in there, Florida as well. I mean, get ready because it's gonna be a lot of fireworks. Hell, the 16 seed in the thing was Oregon, who has its head coach she's an Oklahoma girl. She was at OU for a long time. She's one of Patty's top assistants of all time. And here she is bringing her team back to the World Series as well. UCLA, as always, is going to be a bear to deal with too. There's no easy outs in this tournament. So I look forward to seeing what happens. I'm excited about Oklahoma's chances. I'm not sure I'm ready to just stamp it 5 in a row yet, but damn, it's been fun watching them the last few weeks.
It's hard to stamp 5 in a row, man. That sounds like almost chaos, just craziness.
Really, man. I mean, yeah, you're wondering when. I mean, and the thing is like I said, if you don't get them now, when are you gonna get them?
No, you're right.
They're just gonna get better. They're adding one of the top classes in the country. They've got big time pitching coming in, which is what they need. But their pitchers, to be fair to Oklahoma's pitchers, they've been fantastic since the postseason started. So excited for their opportunity. I think they got as good a shot as anybody. I mean, they're the highest ranked team left. But we'll see. You gotta Man, you got to keep it up. You got to keep it up. All right. But shout out to the ladies. Congratulations and good luck this week, starting off Thursday with those Tennessee Vols. All right. Good morning, Ronnie Wheat, Drew, True Okie, Sooner in Texas, Satterfield, Christopher Shannon.
Morning, everyone.
Christopher Shannon coming in, talking that mess already. Ugh. Let's don't be negative completely. I'm trying to talk about it, but we can be real. Here's the thing: 8-4 does save his job, and to be honest with you, we're gonna get into that. But let's get into this. Before we do, I'm gonna run this quick ad for Fanatics. Make sure you're checking out our Fanatics partner store and getting gear. Check it out. Are you tired of your game day gear looking like it's stuck in the offseason? Well, step up your fandom with Hall of Fame College Football's official Fanatics partner store. Whether you're a diehard Oklahoma Sooners fan like myself, bleeding Crimson and Cream, or you rep another one of the SEC's heavy hitters, Fanatics has you covered. Shop thousands of officially licensed hats, jerseys, sideline polos, and exclusive championship merch from the entire Power 4 and Group of 6 too, all shipped directly to your doorstep and fast. Want to gear up like your favorite coaches and players? Are you looking for that perfect tailgate tee or a statement piece for your man cave? Fanatics is your one-stop shop for authentic college football gear from everybody that plays the game. So do yourself and your team a favor. Click our link in the description or simply log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. And you can shop everything that you want for the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner page. Got to go get your gear on the Fanatics partner page. We get the best deals you're going to get every day on that site just by going through our link. You got to make sure you do it. Man, I'll tell you what, I've been saying this a lot lately, Jonathan, but I don't think I've made hardly any money off of that thing. And it's because they don't give you anything. I mean, we've sold a lot of gear. It's like it's pennies, right?
Yeah.
What I end up doing is, if I get 10 or 12 sales in a month, which happens a little bit, that's about $25, $30 generally speaking. So I just buy more gear.
That's how I kind of do it. So I actually got the San Antonio, the New City U apparel through them. So yeah, same.
Hey man, yeah, and it's a great way to do it. I love having it because of the fact that you get such good deals on it. A lot of times you'll see them getting, you'll get free shipping, a lot of 25 to 40% off. I mean, I've seen, and at the times right before the season, they're going to start running all kinds of stuff. They got a lot of new gear out there. So make sure you get over there and get rid of all that old tired shit. Whoever you like, just get in there and check it all out. But okay. Now to the speaking of having something to prove, obviously there was a lot to prove for Patty Gasso and this team coming in, being 5-time or 4-time straight champions. But there's a lot to prove in Norman for Brent Venables this season, a year after going 6-7 for the second time in his 3 years on the job in Norman. I don't really put a lot of blame on him for what he took over in that first year, going 6-7. Defensively, they certainly weren't ready to answer the bell.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do, and honestly, without Dylan Gabriel, I don't know what you'd look like. You know what I mean? I just don't know what you would have looked like. And because of the fact that it was just a bad deal, you lose Caleb Williams, you lose Spencer Rattler, you lose a lot of big-time talent on both sides of the ball. But they still were in most of those games, aside from the TCU loss where they lost Gabriel, and then, of course, Texas, who blew them out in that game, but they didn't have a quarterback. I mean, they were playing a tight end at one point. You know what I mean? So
we won't get into that.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks though. They go 10-3 the next year. You're looking real good and feeling good about it. But honestly, this season coming up, look, Oklahoma fans are not going to put up with it for very long. I was just noticing when you were in there with Piano Man on his show a minute ago, and a lot of negativity going around there as well about Kalen DeBoer, and he went 9-3.
Yeah.
He went 9-3.
Insane.
You know what I mean? I don't think Nick Saban went 9-3 in his first season. Now,
He went 6 or 7. Yeah.
he didn't have the exact same roster either. I'll give you that.
Or 7.
But when you have a change of regime, things take the time that they take. Now, do I think that they need to be better this year? I do. I think Oklahoma needs to be better. One of the things that I need to see, and I've said this a few times, is that I want to see Brent Venables mature into a head coach who can run the entire thing and, or quick on his feet, making calls, whether even if you make the wrong call, make it with some force. You know what I mean? Don't call timeout on 4th down and then punt the damn football. Don't do that. But there's a lot of things that conspired for them to be as bad as they were. Number one, they have one of the toughest schedules in the country. I think Florida's was about the only one that might have been tougher.
Yeah.
It's the same schedule this year, just swapped where you were playing them at. But chances are, the expectation coming in is to win. Minimum of 8 is what you hear. And a lot of people are talking about 9-10 wins making a playoff run. There's a lot of questions to be asked before you can get there. I think that you look at, could they have won 8 or 9 games last year? Absolutely. Had they not had, 11 different offensive line combinations, your top 6 receivers out for most of the year, Jackson Arnold, who pissed down his leg all the time, not all his fault, but he just wasn't. He was a fumble machine. In 13 games as a Sooner, he has 12 freaking fumbles.
Not good.
Can't have it. Just week 4 it'll be okay when he comes back with Auburn, though.
I agree. I think, I was on Piano Man's. This is my 3rd live stream, by the way, in a row here.
You are
it's a lot of talk is through the negativity. You know what I mean? This is the 3rd one in a row where we start off with, can we just move on into this season, essentially, right? So the facts are this. You have to adjust your expectation to where you were before. I've always said that. For Alabama, it's without Nick Saban, now with Kalen DeBoer. For Oklahoma fans, it's in the Big 12 versus the SEC. The facts are every year it's going to be a growl and a grind. Texas had the easiest schedule, there's no doubt, last year in the SEC. But even still, to win the SEC, it's not going to be a cake. They figured that out, right? Losing to Georgia twice.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have the easiest schedule to the SEC and you're playing the Mississippi States or whoever, it doesn't mean you're going to win the SEC. And I think that's what it comes with, readjusting your expectations and what does getting better look like to you? You know what I mean? Does it mean 8-4 and we have now an established quarterback? Now we have an established offensive line. And what does that look like, right? So it can't just be about the stat, the win and loss column. It's got to be about what does it look like to us as fans. So moving forward.
How does it get there? Yeah. And that's the whole thing. There was a clear mandate. Number one, you got to stay healthy. We're not even, that's not one of the questions I'm asking, but yes, it should be the only question. Can they be healthy?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you keep them healthy? You already have Giovanni Gibson, who was your main portal receiver that you brought in, already broke his leg during the spring. The hope is that he'll be back before week 1 because they feel like it's a clean break. They should be able to, but I think you got to be careful about expecting that. Now you do have Deion Burks back. You've got some freshmen that actually got some. They got a lot of playing time and had to grow up fast because of all the injuries in the receiver room. I expect some good things out of them. Jaden Gibson, should also be back at some point this year, we hope. But you've got a number of other portal ads that you added to it. You've got guys like Zion Kearney. You got, Ivan Carry-On. The list kind of goes on. OU isn't bereft of talent there. You've even got a couple of freshmen that, might just be all that too. Um, it's hard to expect a ton out of freshmen, but the hope is that you're deep enough in that room to withstand this if you don't get Giovanni back. Because I think that if you don't, it's a big loss, because I think that he's going to be one of the better receivers in the country if he's around.
Yeah.
I just believe that. And I mean, from what we've seen of him, he's unreal. The only reason he's not, and make no mistake, the only reason that he wasn't already in the SEC was because he chose to play quarterback in high school because they needed him to. He was the best quarterback in their school. If he's playing receiver in high school, he's already been in the SEC. He doesn't end up having to go to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yep.
But he dominated there, killed everybody there. They couldn't, and I mean, you watch him play, you'll see he's talented. So hopefully they get him back. But whether they do or not, you got to get it done. And John Mateer coming in from Washington State, that's a big deal as well. But let's jump into real quick. I think the main thing that you have to look at is the Oklahoma offensive line ready? The line is much more important than any of this, because you got to keep this new quarterback of yours upright, something you were unable to do last year. You need to find a way to punch some holes for Jaden Ott, the new running back, number one running back in the portal, to come in and be able to make hay there, along with the other guys, Xavier Worthy. You've still got Javante Barnes in the room, Taylor Tatum. If he's done with the fumbleitis, you've got 4 unbelievably good running backs, or guys that you expect a lot from, coming back into it as well. The line is important, man. I think it's a getting cliche at this point, but you win this league in the trenches, right?
No, it always goes through the trenches, and Oklahoma knows that. Oklahoma, you guys weren't necessarily lacking that in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right, that's why I said I thought the transition for Oklahoma would be easier than Texas. I'm not saying it's gonna equate to more wins, but the transition would be easier, right? So long term, in the Big 12, it seemed like Oklahoma tended to go after the trenches. And and it's not about having the best guys in the trenches for one game. Like, you're talking about depth. Depth is always gonna be the key here. As someone that follows so much recruiting, that's why I put so much emphasis on recruiting. Is you may have the best offensive line in the SEC this week, and you lose one guy, and we see how that turns out. You lose 2 guys for one game. We saw what happened to Georgia against Alabama last year. People don't talk about that. Ratledge was one of the best guards in the nation, right? So he was absent during an Alabama game, and their line fell apart. So, no, you gotta have depth. You gotta have guys that can step up and play, and, we could talk about this all day long, but the offensive line is where it all starts.
Absolutely. And, I think that the general consensus around Norman and around the fan base in general is just that you don't have to be the number 1 or number 10 offense in the country as far as scoring points. Now, I think you need to average around 28 or 30 in this league. But that probably puts you somewhere around 28 or 30 in the country too, if you're averaging that.
Yeah.
And as far as scoring offense is concerned, if they can do that, though, if they can make it to where this defense, which you hope is going to be better, we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but you expect that with the defensive line and the way it is, if you can give this defense some points to work with where they're not always got their back up against the wall, you're liable to have a special season. You really are. And I think with a guy like John Mateer, 4,000 total yards last year, 44 touchdowns, obviously was in the Mountain West. I understand that. The guy can play, though. Yeah. If you watched any of his film and you want to talk shit about him, you're crazy, because the dude can flat out go.
Yep. There's no denying his ability. So you can sit there and talk about the Mountain West all you want. It still doesn't change the fact that he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, it still doesn't change. There's certain things you just won't take away from that. And you can go way back to John Mateer, well before him committing to Oklahoma. People, they've had their eye on him, just like Cam Ward, just same school coming from, right? Washington State.
Same quarterback coach, same offensive coordinator, who, by the way, is also now in Norman.
Exactly.
This is Mateer's 3rd season under center, or 3rd season in his program, in his offense.
Yep.
He's one of the guys out there teaching it and leading the way. He stepped in as a leader, man, right away, and it's such a big deal for this Sooner program.
Yeah, hands down. Yep.
So, I mean, looking at we got to start talking about, obviously, you had as many injuries as you had on the receiving, you had the same thing kind of happening. But you do have guys that started last year. Jake Sexton at left tackle, Fabichi Wewu, he's been playing that right guard for a while. Jake Taylor, he was in and out last year a lot, but you know, he was an expected starter. He is back. Logan Howland started the last three games for sure at left tackle. Heath Ozida was starting everywhere from basically from Tennessee on in at left guard. So, you know, he's coming off an injury as well. But then center Troy Everett, he was going to be the starter, didn't get to play hardly at all last year. That was big. Now, you also have guys like Isaiah Autry-Dent, who is a redshirt freshman, has a real chance to do something big there. You have you also you have a couple of transfers that are important to it as well, I would say. You know, Derek Simmons, Jake Michla out of Stanford. You know, Derek Simmons was one of the top-rated offensive linemen in the portal as well, in that early portal. So, you know, but you have Eddie Pierre-Louis coming back, another redshirt freshman. You've got Daniel Ankakumi, another redshirt freshman from overseas. He's apparently looking really good as well. But a lot of the talk right now is about Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje, the true freshman. Michael Fasusi, of course, the number 1 left tackle in the country, one of the top 5 players in the country. He comes to Oklahoma. There's a lot of expectations. I want to pump the brakes about him playing. I hope he doesn't have to. I hope if he plays, it's at certain pieces and parts of, you know, that they're working him in. And I think that if you know anything about Bill Bedenbaugh, he's not in a hurry to put freshmen in, particularly when you have guys that make it to where you don't necessarily have to. But he may end up seeing some time. From what everybody's saying, a lot of people are saying it, that he may end up seeing some time. Ryan Foje, he's also a tackle, but they're expecting him to play some at guard. I don't know that some of these starting positions or the returning starters, I don't even know that they have a starting spot anymore, because the truth is some of these other guys have probably passed them up. If Isaiah Autry-Dent is healthy, he's going to be playing probably left or right tackle, at least somewhere in that rotation as well. He was up as high as like number 2 on it, behind Jacob Sexton, who is definitely your number 1 returning lineman coming back. So the expectations are, I feel good about the line. We still had to see it mesh together, but that's a big question, right? I mean, again, the trenches are where it's at, man. But so can they protect this quarterback? Can they get a run game going with Jaden Ott? Because if you get Jaden Ott just a little bit of room, he can go to the house.
Yeah. I think the key is to number 1, I just want to say, Michael Fasusi, it's hard to keep some guys off the field. Some guys are just built different and they're ready, and he may be one of those guys, right? So he was talked about all last season. And, you know, I think one thing that's going to help, number 1, your new offense coordinator that comes in. One thing that's going to help out immediately, that I don't know how many people are talking about, but he moves the pocket. Mateer is not going to have to be a statue. You're going to see him rolling out a ton, moving the pocket, helping the offensive line out, especially at the beginning of this season. Not only that, but I think it will definitely help out the receivers as well by moving the pocket, because, you know, it's a lot easier to get acclimated in the system where you have a little bit more freedom, especially from the wide receiver standpoint. And in my personal opinion, and Devontae Smith talked about that a lot. Jalen Waddle did too at Alabama, about having that ability to work with a quarterback that rolls out a lot. It gives them the freedom to move a little bit more. So, you know, it makes them feel like they're more involved. And for sure, I think Mateer is going to have that capability this year. I don't think it's going to change. Same offense coordinator, right? Cam Ward strayed away from it at Miami, but that's just because he had an offensive line where he could sit there for 4.5 hours, smoke cigarettes and cook a steak and still be fine to throw the ball. So, you know what I mean? That's what he had.
And when he didn't, I saw a play that he made in where I don't know how he saw it. I don't think he did. I think he felt it, where he he was about to get killed by the defensive end, and he just kind of ducks under it.
Yeah.
There's another guy coming, and he flicks the ball on.
Bro.
And I mean, it was on a rope to the corner of the end zone in between two defenders. It was a freak. These are the kind of things that you see these guys do.
Yeah.
I think that what I like about the offense is the fact that he's not really, they talk about it being air raid based and all that. And it's based in the air raid. That's who he grew up around, no doubt. So, but I've seen the dude in jumbo sets.
Yeah.
I've seen the dude under center. That's not something you see out of air raid. So I feel like this is the kind of offensive coordinator you needed to have, somebody that's got some imagination good behind it, because we certainly didn't have any last year. But it does start up front. You got to run the football well in this league. We've got enough running backs to do it, so you got to open some holes, and that will open up a serious amount of your weapons out there. And before we go too much further, I think that their tight ends that they've brought in, FCS or not, look like they're going to be pretty good. And I really like the idea of, I know a lot of people think this is crazy, but Jaron Kanik coming from linebacker where he never really fit. Go back and look at his offensive, any of his film from high school. He was a touchdown machine. And all of them were over 50 yards almost all the time. All the fucking time. This dude I don't think he has to go out and lead the SEC, but he's going to give you another thing to think about. He's a 4'4" guy, 4'3" guy you've even heard of. He's 235 pounds. Playing as an H-back, this guy if you can get him going early, he becomes somebody that the other defenses have to think about. So I think that that's as big a part of some of this as any of it, Okay. Let's see what we got here. Coach Smook, what's up, dog? Boomer Halen, True Okie, welcome into the show. Sooners for Life, what's up, Satterfield? 5 till midnight. Moosehead. The 1 and 2, who's the number 1 and 2 center? According to, from what I can tell, and let me go back to that. I just had that stupid thing up, bro. It looks like your Taylor's. It should be. Damn it! Why doesn't this go away?
Your O-line rotation is going to adjust.
It's definitely going to adjust a lot.
Adjust a lot.
It always does, and that's the whole thing. Is that you just have to kind of expect that when it all boils down to it. What in the hell is going on? Okay, well, let's try this again.
So let's see.
All right. Yeah, so it's Troy Everett is number 1 is what they're looking at. Michael is another guy that he's a redshirt junior, and he was damn good at there at Stanford. I expect Troy Taylor, again, it was a health situation with him last year. They were excited about him until then. But Michael looks like he could be a guy that is a 1A type of guy. Again, I think that you're going to see a rotation of guys anyway, because you have to in this league. And you know how Big Bill is. He's the kind of coach that he kind of feels it out for a little while, and he finds out. Hopefully you find out a little sooner, but he finds out in the first few games what's his best rotation in there. And you got to keep them fresh, man. You got to keep them fresh. So the next thing that I would probably say, though, to talk about is, honestly, we're talking about the defense, and the expectations are high here, right? The expectations are high. Hey, man, good to see you in here, Coach. Thanks for coming in. For the defense, the expectations are high. I think they have the best defensive line in the country. I do. They made additions. Not only do you have a freshman All-American coming back in Jaden Jackson, who started every game as a true freshman. You've got Dominic Williams coming back, the transfer last year from TCU, the most sought-after transfer on the D-line in the portal last year, especially in the spring portal. But he was definitely it was a hot deal for him, for somebody to get him. They got him over LSU, Texas, and Mizzou, and of course USC was also in on him. So to get him was big. You've got Dominic Williams. You also got David Stone, who was the number 1 recruit coming into last year. He is, from everything you hear, he has definitely turned it into he looks like he's gonna be that guy in the middle as well. Grayson Halton is one of the top-rated defensive tackles playing that 3 technique spot in the country as well. PFF has him graded as the top one in the SEC at that position. So, you've got a lot of depth. You've got some depth there. Then you start looking at the edges. You lose Ethan Downs on the edge, but you've got coming back the law firm, R.
Yeah.
Mason Thomas,
Yeah.
had a huge year last year. Your expectations are going through the roof for guys like PJ Adebawe. This is year 3 for him. He was a 5-star, top 5 guy coming out. But you also brought in a couple of guys that, man, it looks, Danny Okoye in his second year, everybody has high expectations for him. He has high expectations for himself. But Marvin Jones Jr. comes in the transfer portal. Then you also get, Kendall Daniels from Oklahoma State, who he can play a little bit of edge, a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of cheetah. But you've got a lot of these guys that are studs. So you lose Danny Stutzman, which is a big loss. You lose Billy Bowman, which is a big loss.
Yeah.
We're talking 2 levels of the defense that's important. Ethan Downs was a big part of what they were doing on that defense too. Can they make that step forward is the question. I believe they can because they have a lot of talent there, a lot of talent coming back. But there's always the question of whether or not it will all come together once, when you lose guys like that, All-American type of players.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, obviously, Brent Venables is no stranger to having to do this. You know what I mean? From a defensive coordinator standpoint, now you're doing it from obviously as a head coach. But yeah, I mean, when you look at who you had, Stutzman and those guys, man, were freaking studs. You know what I mean? Obviously, I thought it was crazy that those guys would go in the 4th round of the draft. To be completely honest with you, him and Bowman. And then, yeah, there's guys on this defense that I personally like that people don't talk a lot about. McKenzie, right? So was he middle linebacker? I believe it's Kobe McKenzie.
Kobe McKenzie, and then you do still have, obviously Kip Lewis, the Kip
Yep.
6.
Yeah.
Love him. So
You got a lot of experience on this defense, which I think is what you want to hear, right? So with Brent Venables, his defense is not something you're just going to walk into and just adapt to it from high school, right?
Correct.
So I think that's the key here is that's why I said from the very beginning when Brent Venables took over this Oklahoma program, like, man, I really hope the Oklahoma fans can be patient, right? Because we saw what he did at Clemson. It's just something that does not happen overnight. You're implementing something that was not there. Lincoln Riley gutted everything already, and he never even established a defense. So, yeah, it was something that, I was hoping OU fans, which it seems like you guys have been fairly patient for the most part as far as getting this defense working right. Now it's about the offense. And me, I was super high on Jackson Arnold along with a lot of people.
Sure.
And you're not going to hit on every one of them, and who knows what he's going to look like at Auburn. You know what I mean? So, but it feels like things are starting to move in the right direction with the offense. Not saying it really wasn't last year, because like you said, you had 6 starters. You know what I mean? Out from the wide receiver position. Your O-line was constant rotations.
Yeah.
Really, at one point, it was you didn't know who was going to start at quarterback. You know what I mean? Coming in, it just seemed like a toss-up at some point. So, yeah, it was a lot of chaos to deal with. And by the way, hey, you're new to the SEC. You know what I mean? So
welcome in. You get all the badasses other than Georgia.
Yeah. So, no, absolutely. And so, yeah, it's a lot to deal with, like, immediately, right, coming into the SEC. And nobody said this was gonna be a small task, an easy task. And, yeah, Brent Venables, I think, has done a really good job dealing with it. You have the staff around. Todd Bates. All those guys are, like, studs, right, at their position,
Sure.
as far as coaching goes. So, yeah, and your recruiting is doing just fine. It's just a matter of, like I said, give it a couple of years. You're gonna have to wait and see essentially how this plays out as far as the defense goes. But I mean, or the offense goes. Sorry, because we know what you're getting out of the defense. We know
listen, it's gotten better year after year. The first year was a dumpster fire, but year 2 it was much better, right?
Yeah.
Much better.
No,
year 3, they were the number 1 as far as efficiency is concerned. They were the number 1 defense in the SEC for efficiency wise. The numbers didn't look as good because there wasn't a offense that gave you any kind of you know, you talk about balance. You know, you have to have some kind of a, you know, you got to help out your defense. Can't have them on the field all the time, and that's what they were. So there was none of that going on. That was a huge part of it. Again, that's why I said is good. This team, if you can be even, if you're top 20 on defense, that means you're probably only have to be top 20 or 30 on offense, and you can go a long ways.
Yeah, you're right on that 100%.
But and I think that the main thing you do have leadership coming back. You know, you've got guys coming back like Kip Lewis. You know, he had big plays in, you know, the two SEC games they won against Auburn and Alabama. He provided touchdowns in both of them, right? You know, pick sixes on both of them. He had one against Auburn earlier, and then he had one against Alabama, obviously. And you know but that was that game right there. Now, Danny Stutzman had a big piece in that, and so did Billy. But there were other guys that played really big in that day. Kip Lewis being one of them. He's a natural leader for this team. I think R. Mason is going to come back with a vengeance. He's not going to sneak up on anybody. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, with having 9 sacks a year ago. So he's going to be back, and people are going to start double teaming. This is when you get an opportunity, though, with the interior of that D line. If you double team anywhere else, they're going to find a way to get to you anyway. And I think that will definitely help. Again, I think it's the best defensive line in the SEC, in the country, for that matter. If it's not, it's right there with them. You know what I mean? So that affords you the opportunity to, you know, the ball's coming out quicker for sure if you're in the back end of that defense. So that's a big part. I think that if they get it going anywhere close to like they were last year and better, which I think they will, this could be a fun year to watch them.
Yep. It's not going to be something easy to navigate. And even getting back to the experience piece of it, let's not overlook the fact that keeping experienced staff on hand is important, right? You lose Levy now. Let's keep people in place for a couple of years, because really consistency on this staff is another key piece of winning in the SEC or winning a national championship. If you want any, you know what I mean? Like, just look up north in Columbus, right? Ryan Day, he kept the consistency. Now, granted, he's lost Knowles and Chip Kelly and everybody else, right? So, but he kept the path of what he needed to do so long that, of course, he's going to
win. And I mean, they moved other guys that were already in the, you know, on that team, part of that team anyway. Good recruiters. I mean, obviously, when you look at their new offensive coordinator, he's been there as the receiver coach. He's the best recruiter in the country, probably.
Ryan Hartline, yeah, no
Ryan Hartline. I mean, he gets the best receiver every year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's what he does. So now, how are they going to do calling plays? We'll see. But I think when you start looking at what the defensive side of the ball, even the new guys that they brought in, no, they're not new to this. And the rest of that defensive staff is still in place. Offensively, you've got an anchor like Bill Bedenbow for the offensive line. EJ's been there a couple of years. Emmett Jones as a receiver coach, he's fantastic. DeMarco Murray is continuing to put guys in the stable. There's some people that have some questions about his, substitution patterns, but he does his job. And look, DeMarco, I think that we'll see kind of how it all goes. Coach Riggs, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, even with a terrible offense, no one really dominated Oklahoma. Their defense is, oh my God. Listen, that's a fact. Look, you lost 2 games that were lopsided. But literally, after the first quarter of the Red River game, you were winning 3-0, and you'd given up a total of 16 yards to Texas. It came apart because the defense was on the field too fucking long.
Way too long.
You got it. And that game plan was the worst thing. They should have fired Seth Luttrell after that game for sure. They waited another week and got another ass whipping the week after that. Those 2 games were brutal, right? Yep. And again, the quarterback situation was bad, but I would just say that had it not been for a terrible scheme in the South Carolina game where you've got not even a big tight end, one-on-one with All-American defensive ends in the first 5 minutes of the game, you're not down 21. And then they can get going. I'm not sold on South Carolina. I don't give a shit. I know they're not even as good as they were on defense again this year. I know that for a
They've
fact.
lost too much.
I think that now I think Lenore Sellis is really good. Lenoris is great. Love him. But here's the thing about them. Now he has to go carry that football team to wins.
Yep.
Can he do it? I don't know. That's a lot to ask for, man, in this league.
He had a great defense last year coming off the edge. Not even just the edge, but one of the best, in my opinion, the best safety in the country, and Morey. Like, you know what I mean? So, and then you lose Rocket Sanders as running back, who, by the way, had his best season since starting at Arkansas and kind of fell off the wagon. So, as far as his production goes, yeah, I mean, it's South Carolina is not. I'm 100% agreement on you. I feel like people are too high on South Carolina, and show me where this staff has put this together 2 years in a row. I say the same thing about Missouri. You know what I mean? Show me where it's 2 years.
Oh, thank you. And I like you more every time you come on when you start talking shit like that. Well, Missouri's a joke.
Yes, Eli, I get it. I like Eli as a coach. Sure, but bro, let's not act like Missouri's like
Millhouse. Freaking Millhouse.
Like it gets irritating, man. Like they have one good season, you know what I mean, where they're scheduled
beating his chest and shit.
Yes.
He's talking shit to Stoops after they lucked into that win last year in their house.
It's really aggravating.
Yeah. Well, that's an ass whipping that better be coming. That because they owe him one. He was talking shit about Stoops even, and so it's like, dude, shut up. They got a backup quarterback that they think is going to save the world, and no more Luther Burden, no more Theo Weiss,
Even with those guys, what did you win?
Yeah. They won a blanket from Texas A&M and an ass whipping to go with it.
Bro, I say the same thing to Texas fans beating their chest. What did you win last year? Did you win the SEC? Did you win a national championship? What did you win? Right? Stop celebrating.
They're pounding their chest too, but
the brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
The brand's returned, brother. The brand is back. They are so back. Arch Manning, the Golden Arch, is back.
Till they win it. I'm going to keep saying it.
This is it's hilarious to me that they act like they've already won something.
It's the SEC. We don't celebrate second place.
I was going to say, nobody gives a fuck about you winning anything but national championships in the SEC. You didn't even win the SEC championship.
Now you lost to the same team twice.
Yeah, and the second time you got an entire 3 quarters pretty much with a brand new quarterback after they knocked out the other one. And don't find a way to get it done. Hell, if it wasn't for freaking Quinn completing a 4th and 16 pass against Arizona State, they don't make it to Ohio State. Then they had a chance to win there, and they go sideways instead of towards the goal line on the 1.
Can I pose a question that may stir up some people?
Do it.
Yeah. Well, definitely Texas fans. And I'm just asking a question, but if Arch is so good, why couldn't he beat out a 7th round QB?
Ooh.
Like I'm just posing a question. So
listen, it's a great question. It's a great question. It hadn't been asked enough, to be quite honest with you. And you can talk about Sark's, loyalty to, you know what? You better have loyalty to your fucking job. So don't give me that shit. And you know what? Quinn was pulled out of that first Georgia game. Arch had his opportunity and gagged all over himself too.
That's what I'm saying. So poses the question of what has Arch done to gain this praise that Quinn hasn't?
Yeah. He hasn't. Look, just to be fair, I think Arch is going to be damn good.
I do too.
I do. He's a Manning. He's got a big arm. He can run a little bit too, but the dude can play, right? That being said, though, you got to, look, just because you can doesn't mean you will. And they've had a lot of good quarterbacks at Texas.
No, I agree. And, how much is attributed to Steve Sarkisian and his play calling? Because he will make you look really good. We know this at Alabama because we had a bunch of talent, but when you talk about the creativity of Steve Sarkisian, it will definitely elevate your game above what you may be, which is why I think Quinn Ewers, I question why he stayed at Texas as long as he did. Right. So as far as from a Steve Sarkisian standpoint, he's like, bro,
He should have went back to Ohio State this year
yeah,
rather than go to the draft. He should have.
he should have went definitely somewhere else. I don't know. Money's not an issue to him, so I think it has a lot to do with it. And who knows? Maybe he doesn't want really
Might have been the missing link at Ohio State, though.
for this season. I think he definitely
season.
Yeah. It depends on how Julian saying watch this dude end up balling out. But yeah, I
like
get what
Julian
you're
saying a
saying.
lot, man. I think
Yeah, I do too.
he's a stud. I get it. Anyway, I mean, yeah, in the end, you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out if you're look. And the way I've put it is this: when it comes to Texas, I've said this a bunch. You're replacing 40 players total. You got 40 new players that are either, I want to say most of them are freshmen and sophomores. You've got a bunch of new starters on the line, 4 out of 5. You've got the same. Well, CJ Baxter will be back, but I think that one of their best places is going to be at running back. I really like the running back that they have there as it is. He came in a time when CJ Baxter got hurt and looked really good. But new line, yes, you've got 2 big time players that are coming back, or 3 actually that are coming back on that defense, but you've got an entirely new defensive line aside from Colin Simmons.
Yep.
And the guy on the other, I think the guy on the other edge has been there, but he hadn't been a big time player yet. In the end, you got to figure it out. There's a lot of things you have to figure out. I'm not saying Texas can't be good. They may be very good, but a lot of things have to go right. I said this last year. I know I said this last year. A lot of things did go right for you with that schedule, but you also had a ton of experience on the table.
Yeah,
if you don't win with experience, why do I think you're going to win without it?
They definitely pulled a rabbit's foot out of their ass when it comes to the scheduling. If they were given the benefit of the doubt for the scheduling, definitely helped them right up to it. I mean, my God, man, a transition period and then the scheduling lining up with that it's spot on, man. So,
we'll see. Wow, the Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson passed. Wow, yeah, man. Sorry to hear that. That's tough, and he's another Memorial Day today. So shout out to anybody who has lost somebody that gave their life for this country. I know Jonathan and I both know quite a few guys that did. And so shout out to their families, shout out to them, and big prayers and everything. I mean, I love this holiday, but it's a tough holiday to think about some of these guys, but you got to honor them and remember what they did for this country and gave the ones that gave the ultimate sacrifice are true heroes now and forever. So, but Phil Robertson, prayers go out to his family and the Duck Dynasty family as well. What is our 6'4"? He can run, but he can't hide. Yeah. Look, I'm just and again, Benji, I'm not even hating. I'm just saying I got to see it too. I don't know why everybody's got him number 1 or number 2 in the country. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. I think that even having a new quarterback coming in, I think Alabama is in much better shape. I think that Alabama has a lot more reason. There's a bigger reason for you to expect more at Alabama because of the fact that they do got so many guys coming back, particularly on that defense that looked really good at the end of the year. And whoever's playing quarterback, and not to, I don't want it. I hate it that it ends up sounding this way. I don't want to hate. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Jalen Milroe. The dude was a stud, straight up. But he wasn't the best passer in the world, and he needed to get his legs going to get his arm going, it seemed like. I don't think you have that issue no matter who plays at Alabama this season. They can all spin it, right? They can all throw it. And so I think they've got a good chance of doing pretty well. I know I'm concerned about that game for OU. You're certainly not going to sneak up on them in Tuscaloosa after the way you beat them last year. That's one of those games that's tough. Looking at this, is 8+ wins fair if it is the benchmark? And I don't know that it is. I would tell you that I think it's going to have to be worse than last season before they pull the plug on Brent Venables. With the recruiting that they're doing and the way that he's built that defense, I think it's got to be worse than last year, which is 4 wins. I think that's what it'll take to actually fire him. They owe him $35 million. They owe his staff upwards of 100 with him altogether. They've got probably $100 million in this roster that will largely leave if he was to get fired. I have a hard time believing that they'll do
that. Yeah, there's a lot to take away, and yeah, no, you're absolutely like I'm not a Milroe hater either. You know what I mean? So what he did was great and all that stuff, but he doesn't fit the scheme. He didn't fit the scheme. I don't know where this whole spit in the scheme thing came from last season. When he was there, because he's not Michael Penix. Michael Penix didn't run a 4.35 or whatever the hell Milroe ran. You know what I mean? So he's more of an accurate passer when you're talking about, or Penix was more of an accurate passer, obviously. And that's what you have. Like, you need a throw first, but definitely a serviceable quarterback that can run right in this scheme. Yeah. That's what your Ty Simpson, that's what your Keelan Russell, even to an extent. Austin Mack, big giraffe-looking butt out there running around. He's tall, like, you know what I mean? So
people are kind of wishing that Ty Simpson gets it together. I'm wishing that he does too, but not because of the same reason y'all are. I don't want to deal with a Keelan Russell.
Well, give it time.
By the time we play, by the time we play you guys, we probably will see his ass. And because I think they're going to have a hard time keeping him out. I don't know if Ty Simpson is that dude or not, right?
I personally think I've been preaching. I've been saying it.
I get it.
I think he is.
I get it, but we have to see it, and we know that. I mean, the kid's hanging with him. He's not going away.
Oh no! Ty Simpson is not going to be. It's not going to be last season where Jalen Milroe was the starter and they refused to put anybody else out there. That won't be the case this year. Not with Ryan Grubb. The moment, if Ty starts struggling early, you're going to see Keelan early on, right? So I just don't want him to be pushed out there too early to where it's going to mess him up a little bit. So,
yeah. Harbaugh took 5 to even do anything worth mentioning.
And to even be more fair, Harbaugh only had to deal with one other team at the time. You know what I mean? Like, the Big Ten was not strong for the most part.
Yeah, once what's his name left Michigan State.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big question. A lot of people got Penn State number 1. It's either Penn State or Texas. Now, I understand the Penn State. I understand part of the Penn State because they went to the semi. They bring the most back and they have a starting quarterback coming back as well. I have a hard time believing they're winning the national championship when they haven't beaten Ohio State but once in 11 years that Franklin's been there.
Yes, that's my thing is Franklin can't
win. They didn't beat Oregon. They never beat Michigan.
Yep.
I mean, I got to see it first here. Best team you beat last year going into it. Man, I think the best team they beat had to have been USC.
What is that saying?
It ain't saying shit. They were 6-6.
So, Benjamin, G over here talking about that they still have no. They went out and got some. Actually,
they did go out and get some receivers in the portal. They did. Yeah, listen, they did a lot more than they did last year going into the season. Where
absolutely,
listen, you had to go get receivers. They didn't have a single fucking catch in the semifinal game against Notre Dame. Not a single wide receiver reception.
All tight end and running back.
Wow.
I wonder if that's ever been done before. Like that's something I've never heard of.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened before when they didn't throw the ball, but in this era of college football, shit, no, man, I can't even imagine doing that. Although I will say that with Oklahoma, there was a lot of tight end balls going. Part of the reason the offense sucks so bad. Our tight end certainly wasn't as good as the Penn State tight end. Let's just say that. Look, I hope to see. I got to see it, though. I got to see it from the Penn State. I got to see them make a run before I believe in them, too. Look, I believe in – here's the thing about Georgia. I think that Georgia's, there's a lot of questions there too. They got a new quarterback. They've got all new receivers. They haven't been great at receiver anyway lately. And their running game, they're going to have to run the ball really well. And if they're one-dimensional, they're not going to be able to run it the way you need to. Their defense is the biggest thing for me. They got some questions. They actually went to the portal for the D-line, which they never have to do.
Yeah.
There's some questions there. I'm not saying they're not going to still be damn good because they've been recruiting at the top for years and years and years too. So they should be bringing guys in that are just as good as the guys that left. But the truth is you got to see it. Again, same thing that I'm saying about Texas. You got to see it, right? We got to see about Oklahoma too. No two ways around it. Going through this, 8 wins should definitely be enough to keep him. I think they're not going to – I don't believe that they're going to fire him unless they go to like 6 or 5 again or, worse than that, which I really don't see being a big – I don't see it as a huge possibility. And I know we're going to talk about this schedule, and I know that people say, well, the schedule's brutal. You could absolutely do it. You got dumbasses from Texas that say 6-6 all the time.
Yep.
But when you look at the schedule, there's a reason for it. You look at it and you've got open up with Illinois State, but then week 2, you've got Michigan coming to the house. Hopefully they're, I think that with a new quarterback, whether it's the freshman or whether it's the kid from Fresno State, it's a new quarterback.
Yeah.
They're playing. Look, I think that Brent Venables, this is going to be a common theme of mine going through the schedule is there's a lot of guys that are playing in their first year at quarterback that haven't seen what Brent Venables is about to throw at them, a la Jalen Milroe last year. The way he threw him at Jalen Milroe. So I think that's a game that you need to win if you're Oklahoma for sure. I think it's a game they will win. Temple, obviously, you're going to win that one, but then you got Auburn also at home in week 4. A lot of people are high on Auburn. A lot of people are high on Auburn. A lot of people are high on Jackson Arnold, even after what they saw last year. I get it. I can't blame it on the line and the receivers stuff not being there and blame it all on Jackson. I'm not blaming it all on Jackson, but there were opportunities to win games that I saw him crumble.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect out of an Oklahoma quarterback. There's a reason why he's not there and Mateer is. I like their chances there, especially with that. I mean, I think they'll throw stuff at him that'll freak him right out. That should be a win. You should be 4-0 right at that point. Obviously, you get a bye week, and then Kent State, there's 5-0. You should go into the Red River game 5-0.
Yeah.
Look at Texas. There's a very real chance they could lose in week 1 at Ohio State. There's a very they've got, let's see.
That's at the
week before the Red River, they're in the swamp.
Yeah. 2 hard road games at the Shoe and then at the swamp.
Yeah. But the week before the Red River game, where you're going to get Oklahoma's best, and, I don't know what they're going to have left. Oklahoma's got Kent State the week before. It's like a second bye week, really.
Yeah.
You should be prepping for Texas. You should have them blown out of that game by the end of the first quarter, and your starters are on the bench, period. End of story. That could be, look, at this point, you could have, if you're Texas, I could see you having 3 losses at that point. You might just have 2. If you get, but I think if you're Texas and you get to that point and you only get 2 out of 3 of those losses, moving forward, it gets a little easier for them until they play Georgia at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma now, talking about a stretch, starting with Texas, then you go on the road to South Carolina. Then you're home to Ole Miss. This is all in a row week-wise. Then you're on the road to Knoxville to play Rocky Top. You lost to them last year. Obviously, it's a different team, but that's before the bye week. And then you go to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. Come home from that one, you got Missouri at home. Then another home game to close out the year against LSU. It's the toughest schedule in the country.
It's brutal.
Brutal.
It is bad.
The last 7 games of this thing are, look, if you find a way, let's say you go in to Texas 5-0. If you find a way to go and get 5 wins out of 7 for the next 70 games, you better be in the damn playoff.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is a hell of a stretch. By the way, that stretch you say, so you're talking about Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama. So you could be potentially, what is that, 5 top 25 teams in a row?
Yes.
And possibly 6 out of the last 7. Depends on how Missouri looks. Potentially 6 out of 7 LSU being ranked, obviously, and most likely a couple of those are going to be top 10
Well,
teams.
South Carolina is ranked right now. Ole Miss is ranked right now. Tennessee's ranked right now. Bama, of course, is. Missouri is the only one that you may not be.
That's what I'm saying. So that is
the chances are, and I can see Ole Miss falling off a little bit. I like their quarterback. I think they're going to be okay.
Simmons.
I don't know that, and they do have the type of schedule. They should still be ranked at least, I would think. Tennessee, I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
I don't know that I thought that they were a playoff contender really with Nico. I think they're not without him.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
It's such a weird deal with those guys. I'm going to pull that. I'll go ahead and pop that up on the screen real quick, though. All right. So looking at, let me just do this. I'll crop it down just to look at OU for now so that we can make it a little bigger and not cover ourselves up here. All right. So, yeah, I mean, look, you've got, as I said, you look at the end of that thing. I think it's going to end up working. But here's the thing about it, and here's what I mentioned it a few minutes ago. First-year quarterback, first-year starter at the Michigan game. First-year starter at Auburn, whether it's Jackson Arnold or even if they go to the, to Deuce Knight, he's a first-year, he'd be a freshman. Then you got Kent State, Texas, first-year starter. South Carolina, second-year starter. This is one of the few times that you don't have a first-year starter. Ole Miss, first-year starter. Tennessee, first-year starter at Tennessee, for sure. Bye week, Alabama's going to have a first-year starter. Missouri's got a first-year starter. LSU doesn't. So out of that stretch, it's not out of the realm of possibility if you play well defensively and you have an offense that can put up 28 points to 30 points a game, you're going to win more games than you're not.
Yeah, no, 8-4 is definitely in the realm of possibility here, and I'm just saying that because you look at the schedule, you never know which one's going to come up and sneak up on you and bite you too. It's going to give you that hard time because Aguilar at Tennessee, that dude has a lot of experience playing quarterback. Now it's a new system. Well, it's a new team, same system for him. Mm-hmm. So he's going to bring that element of it. Yeah, he's a first-year starter there, but it won't seem like it that much because he's been in a very similar system the whole time. But yeah, I think the rest, yeah, no doubt. Nussmeier is definitely by far the most experienced quarterback on this list when you're looking at what he's done, what he's proven.
He's a concern. Those are the big games. I mean, I feel like you need to win. Here's where I feel like if you, and this is the question that I'm asking is, how do you see this happening? How do you see it going down? Because I would tell you, if I'm looking at this schedule, I tell you, you got the way that you get to the playoff, though, and let's assume, I'm assuming they're going to get at least 8. I'm assuming they're going to get at least 8 because I think that they're that good in those places. Obviously, health has got everything to do with it, but I think they're going to have it turned around offensively. I think that I think it's going to look pretty good. It could be a lot better than top 30. It may be top 15 or so, and then you got that's great. Here's the thing. I think you got to win those first 2 big games, Michigan and Auburn. You need to start off 5-0. It has to happen. If it doesn't, you're going to have to go. If you don't start off 5-0, you got to go 6-1.
No, you're 100% correct. So when you're looking at this schedule that you have on the screen, believe it or not, the first 5 games are the most important. Like in my opinion, if you can't if you cannot be 5-0, let's say we're just going to go in the realm of possibility here. Let's say Michigan sneaks up and beats you, and then Auburn beats you with whoever they have. Now the wheels can fall off the bus moving forward because your schedule does not get easier, and you do have a first-year offensive coordinator, right? So, like, as in moving into Norman here, those first 5 games are gonna define the season, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I love this comment right here, Greg. He says, "This is why I love going to the SEC. I love the schedule. It gets Norman rocking." And I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
when you hear, I mean, you look at what the schedule was for Texas last year. I think it's the same schedule for them other than the Ohio State game. But here's the deal. It's a better schedule than it was a year ago for Texas. I
Yeah.
can absolutely see Texas losing 3, losing 4 even. And because it could just happen because it is so new. Now they could also win 10 again. But I'm telling you, that's tough. You figure Ohio State at the shoe, like you said, and the swamp before the Red River. You may have already lost 2 coming into it, and you could have 5 straight. They could be undefeated and in the top 10. Now it's a different talking point at that point, right? Now you're holding on for dear life if you're Texas.
Yeah,
So
and that's why I say those first 5 really for both, if you think
Yeah.
about it. Because if you guys come in with 2 losses, you're essentially doing the same thing.
Yep.
Like, in Alabama is no different when you look at Alabama's schedule, like, the meat and potatoes of all these schedules seems to be right dead set in the middle, right? So you guys starting with Texas and then running through the middle. Alabama's kinda same thing starting off with Georgia running through. Well, I mean, I don't know if you would consider Florida State's not gonna be the same team as last year, but I don't know how much improved they're gonna be.
week 4, Georgia, you're on the road at Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's for us where we're really gonna find out what we have in Ty Simpson or whoever's gonna be the helmet quarterback. Clearly, because that's gonna be between the hedges. They're gonna be showing up. I'll be at that game. They're getting harassed, I'm sure. But yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, week 4. So you got there in week 4. After a bye week, obviously, then you got Vandy, who you lost to last year,
Yeah.
Mizzou, Tennessee, South Carolina, but then it's kind of the same as with OU, LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn to end out the season.
It makes me feel so good compared to looking at you guys' schedule. That's nowhere near what you guys have, man.
No doubt, brother.
No, we start off with Florida State, and then we got Wisconsin, which Wisconsin should be an improved team, by the way. Don't sleep completely on Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Compared to last
They're
season.
they're going away for the spread, which I think you had to do at Wisconsin. That's not what they
Yeah.
do there.
Yeah. And then, you got Georgia, obviously. Vandy, we're gonna want blood from Vandy.
Sure.
I want their entire team demoralized, like 70-0 by halftime type stuff.
Right. I get it.
After what happened last
I get it.
Missouri.
Yeah,
who I'm
that's
not
how
too
we feel about Mizzou. That's
Yeah.
how we feel about Mizzou.
So, just straight up embarrassing when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, listen, I get it. Fuck Missouri. I hate those motherfuckers. Oh, they've been talking more shit. I think the only play, and I don't even know if, well, I had more shit talking from Tennessee than probably anybody else last year.
hey, does Eastern Illinois play both our teams?
No, we got Illinois State.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have Eastern Illinois. So
Yeah.
we're reaching up in the state though.
Yeah. Love the schedule too, to be the best, beat the best. It's a good barometer to see where you stand, where you got to improve. I'll tell you this much. If Oklahoma gets 9 wins, there's a possibility that you get in. Right?
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility. I think it's still going to be up in the hands of obviously the committee. It is down to straight seeding now, which would help you in that case. As long as you're in that top 12, you should get in. But here's the deal. In the end, it just kind of depends on they could end up, you could see a team like Louisville. Not Louisville, yes, but I'm saying Illinois really, and I don't think Illinois is going to be that good. I know they're going to be good. They don't play a real schedule. They could if they don't win 10 games, they've had a shit season.
Bro, go look at TCU's schedule.
I know. TCU looks good too, man. TCU looks good. They've got a returning quarterback. Look, people that hate on Sonny, I don't understand it. Sonny's a bad dude, man.
Yeah. their toughest game is Colorado.
Wow.
Other than that, all
I
their
hadn't even looked into it. I didn't realize that.
pull up their schedule. TCU schedule is like they got 3 games in a row against like community colleges of the blind.
Well, but here's the thing here's the one thing I would say about any Big 12 team. They're very similar to each other. And I think top to bottom, they're similar to each other.
Yeah.
Now they open up on the road at UNC. I mean, I don't know, unless he gets rid of Jordan and not the Jordan brand, but Jordan, the girlfriend, Belichick. I don't know that I think much of them. Even though it's on the road, I think it's going to be a tough place to go win. But then the SMU game that's going to be a test game. You know, Rhett Lashley, they were in the playoff last year. Arizona State, K-State, Colorado, man, they play all the good teams, man. They play all the good
I think the Big 12 lost too much. Are we really going to be this high on Arizona State?
I like their quarterback. They've got everybody coming back except for Scatterboo.
Who is the cog behind that? The majority of that offense.
Listen, I'm going to tell you now, I've been picking Kansas State until I found out they were going to Ireland in week 0.
Oh, they're going to Ireland? Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't love it. Them and Iowa State they're playing Farmageddon over there, which is wild to me. But it doesn't seem like those teams that go overseas like that end up having a great season. I don't care that you have time off. You start it in week 0 and then you get extra time off. Doesn't matter. I think it hurts them the rest of the year. Notre Dame stumbled in a couple of games, especially, that Ohio State game. They probably should have won it. I think they were still out of juice from going to Ireland earlier in the year. And I mean, it was 4 weeks later. I still think that was part of their problem. They lost games to I think they lost to who was it? They ended up losing 3 that year. They wouldn't have made the playoff.
Yeah.
Again, I would just tell you, I think that it's tough for that. But overall, when you look at, I think TCU's really good. I don't buy West Virginia and Rich Rod yet. In fact, I got to see Rich Rod do it somewhere else at this level again, because he hasn't since he left West Virginia. Now, they were good at Jacksonville State. I'll give him props for that. But I don't believe much in them. I would tell you that Colorado, we got to see some more out of them. Iowa State, they got them, they got them too. BYU, man, they're playing everybody that's good in the damn conference.
I don't like the Big 12 anymore. Ever since OU and Texas left.
Listen, I understand. You sound like Coach. Coach come in and say they suck.
That's kind of where I'm at with the Big 12 now, I guess. I'm just a hater on them.
Here again.
That's funny.
I love it. He's like, they suck. But yeah, it's wild. But I like Levitt. I think he's pretty good. I think don't put rivalries across the ocean. That's horrible. Listen, yeah, who's going to deal with it the best? I mean, they both have to deal with the same shit. So at least, you it's that. But I think that I don't know that I would agree to that one if I'm those two schools, coming into this year. I don't know that I agree to that, but I don't know. It'll be a fun trip for their fans unless they lose. You know what I mean? It'll be a fun trip unless they lose. But again, if looking at Oklahoma's schedule as I said, you got to go 5-0 because I think that you have to go 5-2. I think you need to have that cushion of being able to go 5-2 in the second half of the season to get in, to guarantee yourself. You get to 10 wins with the schedule, there ain't no fucking way they're keeping you out. I don't care where you're ranked. Not that you would be out of the top 3 even, but you're going to be in. At 9-3, it could give them a reason to not put you in if somebody's got more record, because we've seen that strength of schedule hasn't held up as much as it should have a la last year. They were more worried about wins and losses than they were the strength of schedule when SMU didn't have strength of schedule to say shit about getting in and having 3 losses. It shouldn't have happened, or 2 losses even. It doesn't even matter. 2 losses was worse than the 3 that Alabama had.
Yeah.
Same would be, I would say the same thing about even South Carolina. And even though I said over and over again, I'll continue to say you didn't belong, South Carolina. If anybody did other than Alabama, it would have been Ole Miss.
I agree with that, yeah.
So anyway, it is what it is. In the end, if you look at, let me go back into this real quick. Looking at OU, of course. Oh crap! I screwed that up. Damn it!
All this fancy equipment.
All the fanciness. Here, let me add it.
Fanciness.
I'll
I'll
do
have
it
to be
again.
learning it soon. So we're going to EV Mux over there too, hopefully.
I suck at it sometimes. I get talking and shit, and then I just forget to, keep on doing the work. All right, going back to Oklahoma here. All right, look, you need to, as I said, go 5-0. You win the Red River, you're on your way. You go 6-0, you're on your way. I really think that the games that it comes down to are these two road games right here. South Carolina, Tennessee, got to win them. These are the must-win games of the second half of the season. You cannot lose them. You cannot lose Ole Miss either at home. Those three games you must win. You cannot have a
tough round.
You cannot have a letdown after the Red River. No matter what happens, whether you win it or lose it, you cannot have a letdown at South Carolina.
You guys have a brutal schedule, man. The more I look at this, like,
I know.
It's horrible, bro.
It's tough, man. It is definitely tough. Look, but you got to win these three games right here going into the bye. You got to win them because I got to tell you, I'd love to see Oklahoma win the game in Tuscaloosa. I got to tell you, it's hard for me to just pick OU or anyone to go in there and win that game. Especially when I think that they're going to be as good as they've been in a while.
Yeah, I expect them to be a lot better with Ryan Grubb there.
I do too. I think their defense is still going to be really good. I think that's a loss probably. And you can afford it if you've won these three games, even if you lost the Red River game, you can afford that loss to Alabama and still have a shot with last two games going. You're going to beat the shit out of Missouri if you're Oklahoma. There's no way you allow them to come to Norman and run their fucking mouth again and not beat the brakes off of them. Whip their ass.
Sure.
Then you've got a showdown with LSU. It's a home game. Oklahoma has struggled with LSU. Nussmeier is probably the best quarterback in the conference, at least coming in. He's definitely the best returning quarterback in the conference. It's a shootout. It's a tough game. If you win the Texas game, you can afford to lose that one too. But here's the thing. If you don't win the Texas game and that becomes a third loss there, that means that you've lost 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's going to make it. There's a reason why they don't have to let you in at 9-3. You're not playing well coming down the stretch.
Yep.
Never mind that it's the toughest fucking stretch in college football. That's something that the committee can say about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy to say. That's easy to say. But again, you're not sneaking up on them again. Come on, guys. Jackson Arnold he didn't throw the ball 10 times. Look, the defense carried the way. And I just don't think that you have this is not the same team, and it's damn sure not going to be the same team in Tuscaloosa. If you win the game, I'd love it if they win the game, guys. I'm just telling you, that's a tough place to predict that. I don't think most people would predict that you're going to go in and beat Bama at home.
I think it's going to depend on what we look like early on. I think the Florida State's going to be a big telling of what we're going to look like. So, yeah. I
think you guys are going to be fine. Still says it got to protect the home field. Then take your chances on the road. Bob Stoops never lost the week after losing to Texas. Okay. Good. Because he better not there. I don't think if you win or lose that one, if you win or lose Texas, you can't lose to South Carolina.
South Carolina cannot be a loss.
It cannot.
It cannot be a loss because they've lost too much on that team. If you lose to South Carolina, that's telling me you're losing other games that you shouldn't be losing.
Especially when you have a reason to, look, And believe it, Beamer will be talking shit before this game. He was talking shit after the game last year, running his mouth, talking some bullshit, behind people's backs, not even publicly stuff that's gotten around though.
Yeah.
That he was saying some shit. They owe Beamer's ass. And you need to go win the fucking game. Same way that you need to go win the game with Missouri. Same thing, and I'll tell you the same thing with Tennessee as well. I think you have to win your home games, as you just said. You got to do it. Win the game at home against Ole Miss. You cannot let Lane come in and win that game 2 years in a row either. You need to win these 3 games, without a doubt.
Someone hates y'all, dude. Someone on the committee that made this schedule.
Yeah, it's don't even get me started.
Big middle finger was given to Oklahoma.
Yeah, look, I think that there's something to be said for you want to mess with OU's freaking feel good about itself before it gets there. You don't want to let them come in, because here's the way I feel about it. Texas hasn't done shit in freaking 15 years. They made the playoff the last 2. Oklahoma beat them one of those years. And if it hadn't been for one stupid, just the bad way that all worked out with Okie Light and even the Kansas game, you could have won either of those games and you're back in the conference championship game having a shot to go there too, but you beat them. Yeah. So in the end, OU's done this, been there a lot more. Now, Brent Venables has been there and won national championships too. He's won as many as Sark has as a coordinator.
Yeah.
So, you look at that, they're in the same position. Now you got to see him go ahead and finish it off. Again, I'm going to tell you that this is where I tell you that it becomes a part about BV having graduated and become a better head coach.
Yep.
Become a better CEO.
Yep.
Because there's going to be some close games down this street. There's these 3 games are probably going to be pretty close. The Tennessee game, probably because it's on the road, because I don't know how good they really are. But you know what? I'll tell you this. Josh knows what he's getting from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they're physical. We know that they do that physical thing really well.
They've been recruiting. So,
yeah, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Beamer's a pain in the ass. He talks a lot of shit for not having done much. Well, Nagy isn't the CEO down on the field there, Benji. Shut up. So, yeah, the last 7 games, brother, are beastly. They're beastly.
Yeah.
In the end, you got to, look, though, here's the thing. In my opinion, at what record do I want Brent gone? I think if he went 6-6 again with this team, then I would be okay with it. I would understand it.
My thing would be, who would you replace?
I honestly don't want to fire him though.
Like it's easy to say you go 6-6 and get fired, but
here's the thing:
in the spot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's some coaches out there that I think are really good that are probably ready for a job like that. I think of John Sumrall. I like him a lot. Tulane's coach. He was at Troy killing it there. I think he's ready for that kind of job. And I think that he would be even better at a play. I would go with a guy like, if we go offensive, I would say Will Stein at Oregon would be high on my list. G.J. Kinney would be high on my list.
Man,
but I'll tell you,
No, I couldn't fathom replacing.
Here's the thing. I don't want to. I'm going to tell you now. I think even if they went 6-6, I wouldn't really want them to fire him, because I think you're still this close no matter what. And it would really depend on how it happened. How did you go 6-6?
Yeah.
How did you get blown out of any of these games, or did you just not show up or did you lose because of stupidity that is not seeming to be? I think it would have to be really bad looking on 6-6, right? The DC from UJ.
Too much Schumann.
Fuck no, I wouldn't have that guy as being the head coach. No way. He's got to win 7. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm just going to tell you guys. Don't be surprised if they don't fire him even at 6-6 because they don't. Okay, somebody just said up in the chat a few minutes ago that they're letting a lot of people go in the athletic department. Why the fuck Joe C talked about that publicly? I will never understand.
That made no, dude.
I thought it was stupid. I don't love it, and I tell you, shut up, Joe C. What are you doing? Number two, that doesn't. But that person said if you're doing that, then you can afford to pay BV to leave. What the hell are you talking about? It's $100 million worth of buyouts from those coaches, more or less. It's been reported.
It's insane.
$100 million. They're not going to do that for them to walk. Not with the recruits are there. I think, look, here's another thing. I'm going to tell you one other thing, and I hadn't added this to our question list, but damn it, if the damn medical team is not better and not diagnosing things correctly, like we keep hearing that they're not doing, it could happen and not have a fucking thing to do with Brent Venables.
Yeah. I like what Steele said. Plus, next year's schedule has to come back to earth, right?
One would think, Steele, but I got to tell you, if we go to 9 games, it may not.
Yeah, you're basically in Hall of Fame mode right now.
I don't think it could get worse. I don't think it could get. I think it could not get better though, because I think you could switch it. They're not going to switch them completely. They're not just going to flip flop them because they're not going to a third year of 8. Almost definitely, they're not.
Yeah, you're going to see a 9th game.
There's going to be a 9th game, and that means that you're going to have to play a bear. They're not just going to flip it around. I think they want you playing. I think LSU or Florida is going to be one of your protected rivals in the 9 game. That's brutal. Either way.
There's no easy way around it.
No. No.
If you wanted it, I tell people like, you're going to get what you want. So you want to come into this bear cage.
Listen, I agree with what you guys are saying. The mass group of fans ain't going for 6 wins or even. Listen, I understand what the fans think. I don't think it's up to the fans whether he stays or not. I'm just going to tell you.
Oh, no, I definitely don't think that either.
And if you look around the country, it's not happening in a lot of places. They're not just up and firing everybody. Not everybody's fucking Texas A&M just willing to cough up $80 million to run Jimbo's ass out of there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's just not. I just don't know. Now, yeah, listen, I'm not. There you go. There you go. And yes, it's still a thing. I'm just going to say, yes, it's still a thing. All right. They said they were getting rid of guys. They didn't. They haven't restructured that damn medical staff at all. And they've missed on some people. Something needs to improve there. And I think, look, that's all I really want to say about it. I'm not going to sit here and dog Oklahoma and what I know they're working through it, but it needs to get better. It damn sure needs to get better. All right. I'm not arguing, just saying one thing that BV's championship D's had to counter was a pretty good offense. The only thing that kept OU from 9 wins last year. I agree with you. Look, and again, I'm trying to give you, I'm not saying whether he should or shouldn't be at that point. Here's what I'm not saying that. I'm trying to give you reality of what I believe. It's the sentiment that is coming from the program and from the school is that they're not going to fire him unless it's really bad, 6 or 5 or 4 even. I think if it was worse than 6, he's definitely out.
Yeah, I think if you go 4,
and I think you have to be. I think you have to be at that point. I would have to agree with the decision at that point. I just would. What's on the head coach?
He's probably talking about the medical staff, like getting rid of the medical
staff. It's not on the head coach. They're completely a third party that by rule you have nothing to do with it. And they do that for a reason. They do that so that coaches can't affect their diagnoses. If their job was held in their hands, they'd get fired every fucking year.
Good point. I didn't think about that because in case the player is hurt and he still wants to play him. Good point.
And they all do. I mean, are you injured or are you hurt?
Yeah.
That's not on the head coach. No, it isn't, Bob. I don't agree. He doesn't have the ability to hire and fire him. That's on Joe C that it hasn't been done.
I know we did it in 2021. Alabama fired their entire
last year.
So
stop it. All right. All right. But I'm just going to tell you, I think we're talking about it a little more than we have to. My opinion is this. I'm looking at them at the bottom. They're winning 8. I think they're winning 8 at the bottom. I think they're going to win a lot of these games. The fact that you have so many first-year starters going up against a defense that should be better than it was a year ago, particularly it damn sure is better on the front line. I think that they're as good. I think you're going to miss Danny Stutzman, but I think that they're very, very good at linebacker. Again, Kendall Daniels being there, that he's going to kind of mix between. Kendall Dobie comes back. He was playing between that, and when you start looking at the safety room, I love Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Bowen. But you got Boganowski and Powers that are clicking at their heels. Powers is doing really good at the cheetah position. But with Kendall Dobie back, he seems to be feeling good, he says, you've got, I feel like it's a good situation at the corner position for sure, but you're deep, deep at safety. They should be very, very good defensively. I think 8's the bottom. I think they could win 10. I'm gonna say they're probably gonna win 9, and we'll see. But the path to the playoff is simple. Go 5-0, go 6-0. You go 6-0, you can go 5-2 down the toughest stretch in the country and get in easily.
Just go undefeated.
Yeah, fuck.
Your path is clear at that point. It's so nice just to say. And by the way, Vegas has no SEC team winning 10 games. Just going to throw it out there.
You know
Not
what?
one.
That's wild too.
This is the first time I've ever seen, and I'm a better.
I've seen that ever either.
I love betting on college football. Let me tell you something.
9.5 is the number, so they've got everybody at 9.
9, yeah. 9, they have 3 teams at 9.5, and if you look at it, everybody's betting the under, which is insane. So,
Bob, to act like BV has the same power as Nick Saban is kind of wild, right?
Nick Saban was given everything. He was given. I mean,
if Bob Stoops was here, you can say that, and I wouldn't even blink about it. I got to tell you that BV don't have that kind of power.
Nick Saban was one of the very few coaches that ran not just the operational side, which is typical for a coach, but he ran the director of personnel side for all of recruiting as well, which is very rarely done. That's usually done by your GM, by the way. That's why one of your responsibilities is your GM. And he pulled strings on, and nobody ever questioned him about firing or hiring. Like they said there was a board. It's so funny because they talked about this. Byrne did. He talked about it. The AD talked about, Nick Saban got what Nick Saban wanted. You know what I mean? So that's
no doubt.
Alabama took a chance, and it just so happened to work out. But
I would tell you that Stoops got what he wanted too. Lincoln Riley didn't always get what he wanted.
No, he didn't.
They've been used to telling coaches no for a while now.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he tried to. I told you guys this earlier in the year, and I believe it I know for sure that this happened. BV wanted to fire Seth Luttrell before they were done with spring, and damn sure in the fall camp, and was told no twice. He was told no after the Texas game. About firing him.
If you want to see how much power Saban had, just go to the playoffs and watch him fire Lane Kiffin in the middle of the run to the national championship in the heat of it. And then we have a first year at the time, Steve Sarkisian, guy who was an analyst, moved to a coordinator position. And Nick Saban didn't bat an eye when asked about it.
Yeah, so see that question that you got, OU Revenge Tour, who has more power, Saban or Jim Nagy? Jim Nagy doesn't. I don't know how much power Jim Nagy really has. I know he has control of the roster right now.
It,
And he's
it's
supposed to have control of the roster right now.
it's a different time. So like now,
But
right?
he's not gonna be the coach.
No, of course not. I think you can't even compare because the times of the NIL has made the GM even so much more important than, you know what I mean, than what he was even before. So
Yeah.
I think where Saban didn't have to deal with that. So Saban could control everything from that aspect. Now you kind of can't do that. There's too much on the plate.
Yeah, if I had to pick a starting offensive line right now, um it'd be Jacob Sexton at left tackle, probably Heath Ozida at left guard. But I think Daniel Akinkunmi is clicking at his heels. I think he's right there. Troy Everett, and so is, by the way, I think that, even though they got Eddie Pierre-Louis at number 2, the Ourlads thing has him at number 2. I think he may be the starter at right guard. Fabechi, being a senior and everything, I know he's slated that they've got him showing as a starter on Ourlads, but I don't know that I believe that. But I would tell you that Eddie Pierre-Louis could also be the left guard as well. I think he could be either one. So one of those places he's probably going to start, and one of those dudes isn't. And then I would say Derek Simmons, and then center. I don't know, man. I think that Troy Everett starts, but I would not be surprised if you saw a lot of Jake Michael too. I just don't. I think there's a reason they brought these guys in. Jake Taylor, we'll see. I think that the rotation is. I think they've got a 3-deep rotation at least at 4 of those spots, though.
Yeah.
I think they do. So again, I'd say Isaiah Autry Dent. You're probably going to see some of him. You're going to see some of the freshmen. They've been talking about it. You're going to see some. They want to figure out who they are. So it wouldn't surprise Nick Backlinko. He's another guy that looked Luke Backlinko. He's another guy that looked like he was really good too. So I think that they've got some guys. You know what I mean? Again, there's some depth in there. That was our first question. I'm not as worried about that offensive line. I know it's a talking point out there. I'm not that worried about it. Okay. Last thing, as I said, that was what does the CFP run look like? I think a CFP run looks like 6-0, and then you go 5-2 down the stretch. If I picked losses there, I would figure you're losing at home to LSU at the end, and probably on the road at Alabama. That's a CFP run to me. You need to win the rest of them. And look, that's what it takes to get to the CFP anyway. If you somehow stumble, let's say you were to lose to Texas, again, I think you might get in at 9-3. But I think that if you lose those 2 that I just talked about at the end of the year, 2 out of the 3 to close the season, you give the committee reason to doubt whether you're good enough.
Yeah.
Even though you'd probably be better than 3/4 of the country, or probably 85% of the country for that matter. That being said, I would just say it is what it is, and it is what it is in the SEC, right? It is what it is in the SEC. The $1 million question, we've already asked it pretty much. What record saves him? I think 7 wins probably keeps him around. 6 wins, they may go the other way. And I would probably say you need to.
Same.
But again, I don't know that I think that that's a big problem. I really don't.
I don't think it's going to be a talking point, to be completely honest with you. I think it's going to be shut down after the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think because even let's say if you win the first 5, you should be able to pull 3 out of it.
Yeah.
At worst. At worst. I think you pull 3 out of it.
I think there's just too many other head coaches on the spot with their seat a little warm to be talking about versus Brent Venables. So
yeah, listen, I mean, like I said, and if you look around the country, they're not firing coaches for as easily as they once were, right?
No.
It's not like it was 5 years ago. Even they're not pulling the plug. Even Billy was owed 25 coming into this year, and they didn't let him out of there. Of course, I think a lot of that had to do with DJ Lagway and the way that they played towards the end of the year. But I mean, at 3 weeks in last year, they were talking get his ass out of here, and they didn't do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you somebody I'm going to be paying real close attention to. Got my eyes on this team. Penn State. If they lose more than 2 games, I'm making a 20-minute video on how James Franklin is just a waste of space and time. Oh, man.
It's wild, wouldn't it?
He did great at Vanderbilt, but, man, ever since he
Come
got
on, bro, you gotta man, you've wasted and this is honestly, I feel this way about with the schedule that they got last year, Texas blew it. They had a wide open path to go win an Natty. And the same, I'll tell you the last year of the Big 12 for them, same thing. They didn't have to deal with Oklahoma because Oklahoma didn't figure it out against Kansas and Oklahoma State. Fair enough. There's reasons behind the Oklahoma State game. I'm not going to get into all that. Bottom line is you didn't get there. But so they got lucky enough to get Okie Light in the damn conference championship game. They beat the shit out of them, but they lose for the second year in a row to Kalen DeBoer in Washington. Look, I think that Texas had a team that could have beaten Michigan, should have beaten Michigan, in my opinion. I think they were more talented.
Texas lost their window, in my opinion. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Their window is it came and went pretty quick unless they flip it immediately and Arch really is the next coming of God. That's tough to expect that for them. But that's not the record. That's not the schedule that Oklahoma got. Not even kind of.
I agree. Kuz fun.
I just think it's going to be tough, man. I think it's going to be tough. Billy did turn it around. He did. Pay. Nah, they're not getting keep Jaden and get Bo. That ain't happening, bro. That ain't happening.
Cindy's right though. Billy turned it around. Man, he did. Billy walked into a dude. I know you guys had a rough schedule and it's comp to Florida. But bro, Billy came into a situation where he didn't have anything moving forward for him. Like at least you guys had like the potential of Jackson Arnold. You know what you're gonna get out of the defense. It's just, you know what I mean? But my God.
Texas blew it by going sideways against OSU on the 1 yard line. Yes, they did blow it.
Got too fancy.
They got beat. You didn't beat the teams. Look, you had a clear path. You didn't beat either of the teams that had the same level of talent as you. You didn't. And you tried to blow it to Arizona State too. Don't give me that bullshit. Their window may have been lost unless Arch is God. Peyton Manning is a senior, not a freshman.
Which is it's potential. He's walking on water as we speak in Austin.
That was a ball. Yeah, he's walking on.
Oh man,
the golden arch, the old golden arch.
Oh man.
And by the way, Benji, it's 11:08 a.m. and Texas still sucks. So
I'm still right down the road from them. So I leave in 2 days. Well, I leave in 2 days. That's crazy. Yeah, in San Antonio.
How many first round players were there from last year's draft? Don't start giving me excuses. You're not getting them by here. Shut up. Come on. Always. Bob, why would the SEC plan for a natty for UT and stick it to OU and they still Pistons too? Are they still Pistons too? I think here's the deal. You're gonna make me say this shit. Here's what I think. I think that you would much rather stick OU's nose in it and make them think badly about themselves, and so that hope that they never really become OU of the past. The proud OU that knows they're going to come in and kick your ass. You don't want them to feel that way in the SEC. You don't. Texas, gags a lot.
Keep saying it. Keep beating your chest, but what have you won?
Yeah, you did. No, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. Texas back into the semifinals locked. Okay, we'll see. We'll see, bud. Look, if you get past the Oklahoma game, and you're not 3, and you don't already have 3 losses at Red River.
I was about to say
I'm gonna give you credit. I'm gonna give you credit because I think you've lost 3 by then after Red River. Just my feelings. But we'll see. Maybe. All right. Anyway, we'll see what happens with it. I do feel like there's an opportunity to get there. I'm not predicting CFP for Oklahoma, guys. I'm just not going to do it. That's not the way I roll. I'm high on Oklahoma. I think they're very good. I think they might very well be the best defense in the country. I think they definitely have the best defensive line in the country. I think that there's other things that have to come together for it to go that way. Look, in this league, look, if you're still in the Big 12, I say you easily in the no, without a doubt, you're a playoff team. We're not. We're in the SEC playing the toughest schedule in the country. I'm not predicting it. Not predicting it. It is what it is. Now, I like their chances much better than I should have liked anything last year for sure. Shut up, Benji, fucker. All right.
Roll it like you did last year.
Fucking they misremember about half the shit. I said that I felt like Texas was probably going to have this kind of year that I'm talking about from a year ago. And I was probably a year early. I also did the same thing the year before that with Okie Light when they actually got to the conference championship. The year later, they go 0-9 without Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12. You know, I was a year ahead. I think I'm a year ahead again when it comes to Texas. We'll see. We will see. I'll cash in my 7K in Tunica when we win the Natty. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, bruh. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing, Seatbelt Mafia, my boy Derek. I don't have to do shit like this because you guys will do it for me. I'll probably get it put on me either way, but bookmark it. DBs need to improve on third and forever downs. Yeah, we'll see. Wait not to take the bait. Yeah, I'm not taking it. I'm not eating it. But we'll see what happens, man. Look, again, I have to. The biggest reason that I don't want. I'm concerned about the medicals team. I'm concerned about injuries. You don't know if you're getting them back once they get hurt.
Yeah.
Injuries happen. So we can't have a season like last year. The other thing I'm concerned with would just be plain and simple. It's time to see a confident CEO at the helm at all times.
Yep, I agree. It's time for BV to take a step forward as a head coach this season.
Yep, I agree. And hey, guys, having an offense that keeps the defense on the field more than 3 downs will help. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. And I feel good about that. That's why I'm saying I think they're going to get to 9 wins. I don't know what that means for the playoff. I don't know that I could expect 10. It's just too tough of a schedule. Tennessee Longhorn. What's up, man? I'd love to see OK State, Nebraska on OU's yearly schedule. Yeah, it'd be great. But you got just go figure that 2 of the biggest pansies in the damn sport at head coach are of, coaching those teams and saying, fuck no, we ain't playing anybody like that in the non-con. Might as well be fucking Lincoln Riley. Jeez. Can the offense click as a unit starting early in the season? We'll see. I think that they will, man. I think that it seems like they work a lot together. I mean, obviously, to me, knowing that Giovanni may or may not be back early, you have to hope that Burks is ready to rock and roll when the lights come on and be that guy that we expected, right? I don't know, man. No, they're not answering to it. No, they're not. They're not even talking about it.
Nope.
In fact, I'm probably the only podcaster that is. It is what it is. We'll see little Mark Henry on the field. We might, bro. We might. Hey, that's my dude, man. I actually talked to Jacob Henry at the Red River game for the second half, the entire second half, pretty much. Yep. Good kid, man. Love him. He's a good kid. He's gonna be good. His dad's Mark Henry, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw Coos in here, man. Thanks for coming in, Coos.
The Coosy.
Coos.
Busy man. Coos.
Yeah, he's a busy man too. He is, man. The times I've tried to get him on the show, it's tough, man. He's busy on his own. He's killing it too, by the way. I mean, shout out to Coos, man. Shout out to Coos. We'll have to get you on pretty soon. We need to start doing some team breakdowns and stuff like that. I know that's something that we've been talking about doing as well together a little bit. We should definitely do that. I'm glad we got him too, Estot. I really am. I'm glad we got him too. Hey man, there's something about the guy, them wrestlers, dude, and especially those dudes love contact. And I mean, shit. Yep. His dad, I remember that story about that he was all upset and he's down in the locker room or whatever, Mark Henry was. And the Big Show comes over and goes, "What's up, man? You all right?" And he's like, "I've been trying to tear this quarter and I can't do it." And it's all bent as shit, but he couldn't tear it.
Quarter, bro.
Yeah.
Listen to that statement.
Fuck are we talking about, dude? You know what I mean? Like, Mark Henry was upset because he couldn't tear a quarter in half. He couldn't get it done.
Well, I struggle to rip a Hot Pocket in half.
No shit. That's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard, man. And they were like, dude, they saw him. And another story was about one guy, I guess he lost a key or something to his locker, couldn't get in his shit. And he went and just ripped the thing right off the door right off of the locker. Yeah, the lock on it and everything. The fuck, dude?
No surprise.
End your contributions. Listen. Hey, speak up, Bob. Speak up. That's why I'm saying this shit. Because if any of you folks are the ones that are out there putting in a bunch of money, I'm gonna tell you that I've been donating to One Oklahoma. I've been doing it for 3 years, basically. Not when it became One Oklahoma. I started doing it last year. Before that, I was doing for there was like 2 different ones that I was putting money into. I don't mind doing it. The thing is, though, is that don't tell us that you're going to fix something and then don't fix it, and it's still an issue. I know for sure. Just like, hey, listen, they said it, and Seatbelt Mafia said it out loud a few minutes ago. We had at least those 2 players he talked about. Absolutely. It's a fact. It's a fact. It is what it is. To add to my point, the offense can give the defense 3 downs on the sideline if they aren't putting up points. No problems there. The alternative sucks. No doubt. They got to put up 28 to 30, man. I think if you average 30 points a game and like 28 in the SEC type of deal, you're good. You should be good. I think you should. I mean, you would have been good last year if you did that because they gave up about 19. So we'll see. Just got back from hitting. Happy Murph. Hey, happy from hitting Murph. What is that?
You're not talking about CrossFit, are you?
I don't know what that means.
Murph.
Any games, top 50 offense, and OU is going to the CFP. That a boy, Daniel Tulsa. Hey brother, you can say it. I ain't, because I'm the one that'll have to live with that shit later. You don't have to really, have your neck out there like I do. Hey, listen, I don't mind. You're good. We're not all right all the time. Hell, we're going to be wrong. We're prognosticating 3 months from the fucking season.
Yeah, he's talking about CrossFit. So you're talking about CrossFit. Damn, dude. Shout out to you. Yeah, Murph's when they usually typically do it on Memorial Day. I don't know. Look it up, Jason. It's a CrossFit workout that a lot of people do on Memorial Day.
That's awesome.
It's one of the most brutal things you could possibly do.
Something you have to work into?
Work into for months, if not years, to complete it. It's one of the hardest things you can do.
Bob, get onto your congressman or your, whoever it is that you talk to at the school. My man, do it. I know you'll come back and eat it. I'm just fucking with you. It is what it is. I think it's good. I think that, look, I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy in here. I don't. I'm just telling you, I'm telling you why I can't sit here and tell you they're winning 10. I just showed you that schedule, and yes, there's a couple of things that you and look, you got some guys that you're hoping they get back, but they're not back yet. Jaden Ott, man, stay healthy, reliable to be fucking really good on offense. But it doesn't take long before you start losing too many guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. In Texas, I would agree with that.
So since we're on Memorial Day, I'll throw out to what he's talking about doing the Murph. Obviously, he said he did it without the vest, which is, I don't care if you do it with or without a vest. It's you run them. So I got it in front of me here. You run a mile at the beginning and the end of the workout. So you do 2 miles, one at the beginning, one at the end. 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and yet it's supposed to be a weighted vest, but you're supposed to do it within 30 minutes to an hour.
That's fucking. Oh, bro, it'd take me 2 years to get ready to do that. Shit. Are you insane?
It is brutal.
I'm way too fat for that. No way.
But yeah, the vest is supposed to be the key component. Like with the vest, it's going to absolutely annihilate you.
Yeah. Oh, listen. If I say this all the time, though, then I just get labeled, brother. I get it. I totally agree. I think that there's some shenanigans involved in all of it. I was trying to say it without saying it, but yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. 2 major sports at OU are going to make a leap this year. I miss saying F Nebraska, bring it back down. No, listen, yeah, I agree. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that game on the schedule. Matt Rules, you know, I told you right now he's the softest coach in America at the moment. Not named Lincoln Riley, anyway. Softest coach not named Lincoln Riley. Did it in an hour and 2 minutes. Son of a bitch. Kyle, you've been getting down then. With or without the weighted vest to do that shit in an hour? Fuck.
Yeah,
You must be in great shape. Yeah. Listen. Well, they brought it up before. They're the ones that brought that shit up before. I get that's the one thing I give Parker and Brandon credit for is that shit. They're the ones that kind of broached that deal. Was that dude that bet OU to win the 2000 Natty at the beginning of the season? He cleaned up in Vegas. I forget how much. Oh shit! I don't remember who it was. I mean, I don't know how much he put on it either. But I mean, if you put 100 down, you're going to win 7 racks.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little chunk of change for sure. If you had like $1,000 to put down on it, it'd be a nice day.
Oh, it's
It'd be a hell of a year, really. A hell of a year. My shirt felt like I ran in a swimming pool for an hour. No shit.
Yeah. I'd be.
Yeah, listen, I think Drink's a lot of things. I don't know that I think he's soft, though. He's not really afraid to play people. Although their schedule did suck last year, but I don't know. I just think he's dorky, not necessarily soft. I think he's a nerd.
He is. Yeah. Probably right on that.
Yes, they should. Seatbelt Mafia. Yes, they should. I'll put 5 on it this year. You're going to put 5 on what? Oh, 500 on Oklahoma to do it? Well, that's $35,000.
It's a lot of money.
Why not? It's not bad. To the Doomers, I get it. OU on the field hasn't given anyone a real reason to be positive, but I'm pumped for the changes and hell, it's a new year, new season. And that's the point. Hey, listen, guys, and I think this is what we're going to end it on. I think they're going to be pretty damn good. I just want everybody to understand I do think they're going to be pretty damn good. I just said I think their bottom is 8. I could see them having a special year if things come together. But just like I said about Texas, that a lot of things have to come together, a lot of things have to come together for Oklahoma as well. They do. For them to be better than 9 wins, which is what I'm picking.
Yeah.
A lot of things would have to come together. So, and look, and I don't think it's natty or bust for fucking sure. You know what I mean?
No,
I think that they can take some momentum into 2026. And let me ask you this. If I told you folks, here's how I want to end it. If I was to tell you that they'll miss the playoff this year, but win the national championship in 2026, would you take that right now?
why would you not?
Of course you would. There you go. I posted something on Twitter. Go take a look. It talks about that. ChatGPT. Actually, I had ChatGPT predict the next 10 national champions. Go on there and take a look. I think you might be excited about it. Anyway, I think every contender needs things to break their way. Of course, I think it's wide open as it's ever been as well, right?
100% agree.
I don't know. I don't think there's I told you guys already, I think my favorite right now is Notre Dame. I think that they've got a lot coming back. I love their situation at quarterback, and they've got some receivers there too. I mean, I think that they should be fairly healthy when they get there as well, and they can make a big run. I think that they're a favorite. I like Florida. I think they've got a tough schedule, and I don't know. I don't love the way it sets up with their buys and stuff. And I think they've got some tough games in a row that could hurt them, right? Again, I think Texas has got some pitfall places that they could. Georgia, I'm not too sure about. I believe in LSU and I believe in Alabama right now. And those are the two that I really think are going to be really good. There's going to be two more out of the SEC that probably get in. Oklahoma could be one of them, but you got to go get it. You got to go get it done. And I don't think it's as easy as you might think. Look, Texas A&M isn't trash, but I don't trust Texas A&M to do anything. But just so you know, as far as talent is concerned, they're there.
Marcel Reed can ball.
He can ball. Coach Riggs, thank you for the super chat. Another super chat. Having to face 6 or 7 new quarterbacks is what Oklahoma needed. I'll give you that part. And that's another positive for the season. Things could line up very well for OU. But you got to have the breaks fall your way, no doubt about it. Jonathan, anything else you want to add in before we get out of here?
Not really. Just a shout out to James Morrow Jr. So, guy I interviewed recently, he got accepted to IMG, so he'll be completing his senior year at IMG. So, shout out to him. He hasn't committed anywhere. 4-star defensive lineman. So, make sure go check him out. Watch some film if you guys like recruiting and stuff like that. But I give him a shout out.
Make sure you guys are over there watching him on the Bama Standard. He's got couple of shows going on, and he's always on everybody else's show too. But make sure y'all get over there and check out his recruiting stuff. Fantastic stuff that you guys have been doing. And I like the what is it called? Chatter?
College football chatter.
College football chatter.
Just in there talking that BS, bro.
Talking that junk, bro. I gotta get me on. I'll come in there and have some fun with you.
Oh yeah. But I've been mainly concentrating on recruiting, and I got some big things working out as well, which I found out yesterday with some other people. So, yeah.
Listen, I think it's going to be a fun season. I do know that. I think this is going to be a fun season. It's kind of wide open. We'll kind of see kind of what happens. We're going to start breaking down some of these teams and why we think certain people can do. Why I think certain teams can get there and some won't. We'll see. As I said, I think that if you can get through there 6-0, you're in good shape, but you need to win those first 3 after the Red River game. Those are the most important games after the first. I think obviously after Michigan and Auburn, you got to win those ones.
Absolutely.
But if you can get to 6-0 or even 5-1, if you lose to Texas, then you damn sure have to win those next 3.
Yeah.
Damn sure do. But I don't think they're losing to Texas this year. It's going to be fun either way. Guys, I appreciate everybody coming in. We've been going for a little over 2 hours now. I hope everybody has a safe and happy Memorial Day. Again, this is a big day. I think the people that gave the ultimate sacrifice, and even veterans that didn't. We're both veterans that didn't have to give that sacrifice, and I thank God for that every day. But as Americans, remember those folks that did. Remember those folks that did. And, I certainly do. And there's a reason why we have the freedoms that we do. Although the world is a little crazy right now here in the United States, we're still here. We're still here and still going. So love to everybody out there. Have a wonderful day with your families. And we will see you all on the next one.